And now, more Utalk. Now.
Hey, what's up? It's Steve, and this is Utalk. Got a great show today, and I think one of the other hosts is going to pop on here in a minute. I'm actually filling in for her because she was the one that was doing the show tonight. And Katie, tell us a little bit about our special guest since you're going to bail.
Yeah,
that's kind of cruel, isn't it?
I'm actually very, very disappointed that I had to have you fill in last minute. I am in a major mast cell and POTS flare, and I haven't been able to sit up more than 5 minutes at a time today. So that is why I had to cancel. But I know you will do a good job, and you'll have fun.
Absolutely.
Me and our special guest tonight are twinsies, really, because we're both involved. We're both beauty queens. We're both involved in fashion design. I mean, I designed one dress. Can I really fashion design?
Well, you know what? That's more dresses than I've designed, so that's good. Yeah.
And we both have medical backgrounds. I'm a certified nursing assistant, and she is a medical assistant.
Whoa.
So we really are like twinsies, and I'm super bummed that I could not be on for the full show tonight. And I was hoping we could reschedule her so that me and her can have a conversation together. But let's get to our guest. I know Emily is watching. So our special guest tonight is, as I mentioned, she's a beauty queen, a fashion designer. She's the founder and creator of a charity called STEM from Care.
Yes.
And we're going to talk to her a little bit about that and everything else she's involved in. And she's a medical assistant. The only thing we don't have in common is the science. I am not a science person, but she is. So welcome, Emily Kuma, to the show, and I will say goodbye.
Thanks, Katie. We hope you're feeling better.
All right. Have a good show, guys.
Thanks. Bye. There you are. Hello. Welcome. And I know Katie, as you probably heard, is totally disappointed. I mean, you guys are so, it's like a mirror thing, you know? I mean, that's so cool. You guys have so much in common. I have to admit, I've never designed a dress. I've never worn a dress. Okay. Just, whatever your taste is, it's just not mine. And I don't have the medical background at all. So what else? Oh, and definitely the beauty pageant. You were Miss Teen California, correct?
Yep. For the USOA system.
Wow. How long what was the competition like? Was there a lot of other people, I would think, competing for it? And you won.
Yeah, I did. So United States of America is the system that I was in. And it's not one of, I guess, the most, it's not like a Miss America since the newer one. But still, I definitely love this system because it definitely emphasizes more on sisterhood. And I really enjoyed, actually, didn't really feel like I was competing at all. And it's just because there were so many girls there that were just really down to earth, and it felt more like just a meeting with friends, really. So.
Oh, that's cool. I keep going. I digress again back to Katie. You guys would have such a great convo about this because she was not involved in the Miss America, and I don't understand. I guess there's a lot of different organizations that do this, but she was saying the same thing. It was like a sisterhood, and they got along so well. And I can't even tell you her title because she's got a whole bunch of titles, and I think they wanted her to stay involved, so they made up a title for her or something. But we'll save that for a conversation when you guys can really talk about that. What are a couple of things you had to do in that competition?
So there were 3 parts of the competition. One was fitness wear, swimsuit wear. For me as a teen, I was doing fitness wear. The next part was also evening gown, which you basically, wear a nice fancy gown and you kind of show your poise as well as your character while you're modeling on stage. And the last one is interview, where you kind of go around and do like a round robin sort of interview with different judges, and they kind of ask you questions about, what your platform is, what you're involved in, and your hobbies and whatnot to get to know you.
Oh, that's cool. What was your platform, by the way? Because that's very important in the pageant world, from what I understand anyway.
Yes, it is. So my platform, which was the account that I was trying to join in earlier with, was STEM from Care. And basically it's in everything that you do, hopefully your actions are stemming from care, but it's a pun because it has to do with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which are my strong suits in academic interests.
Really? That's interesting. Well, we can throw science out. I mean, I'm kind of so-so on that. Engineering, but anyway, that's very cool. So you do that because you care. That's the whole thing, is a platform of caring. How does that flesh out? How does that come out in your lifestyle?
Well, STEM from Care it started all out as a kind of a life motto for me. I grew up with such amazing mentors, one being my aunt, who was like a second mom. She was a physical therapist. And so I kind of grew up watching her always care for other people, whether it was, my grandma who had cancer or just patients that she would see day to day. I always saw her give her full heart to everyone that she really cared for. And that really, and I just, really want to do the same. She actually passed away recently, but I kind of want to continue that legacy of really, giving everyone kindness and really, loving everyone to the best that I can, with, the best that I have. And that just happens to be science.
Wow, that's amazing. All of us need a platform. Whether we're in the beauty pageant world or not, we really need a platform that we have built our life on and continue, because this is not something that you're done with, because your reign as Miss Teen California was a year.
Yes, it was a year.
Okay, what did you do during that year? What were your responsibilities?
So this was right when COVID hit. So normally I'd be going, doing things with my platform, like holding events and fundraisers and doing kind of, meet and greets. But because of, COVID, I had to move everything digitally. So I focused mostly on fundraising for different charities. Like, for example, I teamed up with Southern California Children's Hospital, and I was able to raise $150 by making bracelets and kind of giving them out as incentives. And so is that money for children who needed money to pay for their cancer treatments.
That's something I have a hard time dealing with, when I see children that, whether they have cancer or they're disabled. It grabs my heart, because somehow inside of me I'm saying that isn't right. It shouldn't happen that way, but it does. And when people like you come in and others that make that possible. I was in Romania a number of years ago, and they brought me into some orphanages. And I'm a big guy, and it was funny because I just got engulfed by these little children. And it broke my heart, because I thought, I want to take you all home with me. I want to get you out of this, and not that it was a bad place. I mean, they were doing the best they could to care for these children. But when you see a child in need, when you see a child that's struggling with a disease or whatever, boy, that was, I guess that would have been disappointing for you, but it sounds like you just turned things around, as many have with COVID, and did some great things. Now, where does the medical assistant thing come into all this?
I feel like for now, the medical assistant part of my life is more of just a personal training aspect of being a person, so that eventually I do want to become a doctor. I'm a senior right now at my university, so I'm just about to finish, and then I'll be going to my master's and then applying for medical school. But I feel like it's a long road, but my feet wet into the medical field by being a medical assistant. We definitely have a lot of interesting patients, not gonna lie. There are some moments where I'm like, oh God, is this the right path for me? It tests my patience a little bit, not gonna lie. It's so worth it, because there are moments where there are patients who have like diabetes, who have cataracts, who might need surgery. And it's really heartbreaking, or I was really heartbroken, it's a good thing. But it definitely, is so priceless when, they're able to get the treatment that they really need. And, they can have their eyesight and their, life back again. I work at an optic clinic. And yeah, so I feel like that for me is just kind of a personal motivation. Like, I kind of know more or less what I'm getting into. And as I'm hitting the textbooks, it's like, okay, I'm working for something. The goal is in sight. And so for me, it's about doing what I can as an individual while motivating myself to get to the next level.
That's very cool. That's, to have that, it sounds like that's something you're passionate about.
I am.
Now, do you want to be an eye surgeon or specialist? Is that where you're headed as a doctor, or is there something else that you're thinking of?
So I'd like to keep my options open, especially since a couple other people who are in medical school right now. And I always hear like, you go in saying you love one thing and then you come out something totally different. And so when I first started this whole journey, I was like, oh, I want to be a pediatrician. I love kids, even though I was a kid when I thought that. I know that's kind of weird. Things kind of transitioned from there to, oh, I could be a dermatologist. I have really bad acne. That would be great. And then it kind of,
I love it.
Whatever it is that I struggled with, I wanted to help other people with. So I do think sometimes, maybe it'd be great to be an ophthalmologist. You do have to specialize in that. So within ophthalmology, you'd have to do like only glaucoma or only cataracts. I don't, I love the eye enough to do that for the rest of, my career.
Sure.
Dermatology might be something I'm into since, I love skincare and whatnot and helping people. And my mom has sensitive skin. So, that knowledge is valuable to me.
There you go. And you could practice on her, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
If she'll let me. Free service.
No, it's funny. I just realized you and I have something a little bit in common. Just one little tiny thing. Okay, I'm Italian, and my grandfather was a mobster. Okay, let's just put that right out there. Okay, and I had to meet with him about my career when I was a junior in high school. Now, I lived in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and my sights were set on music. I wanted to get to LA. I was already playing professional by that time, but my family was worried, you're not going to be able to make enough money, blah, 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 blah. So I had to go meet with, his name was Big Ernie. So I had to go meet with Big Ernie, and he gave me a couple of choices of careers, and two of the three, number one was being a doctor.
Oh, nice.
And I said, okay. And he said, yeah, he said, it's good to have your own doctor in the family that can take care of the boys if they get, hurt or, I won't even go into all the details there. You can only imagine. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't want to spend half my life in school, Grandpa. And he said, well, then you can be our attorney, our consigliere, and I actually studied pre-law for a couple of years, dropped out of school, moved to LA, did the music thing, went back to school, finished degrees, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so you and I do have something in common.
There we go. That's awesome.
Oh, that's fun. So so you're a senior, you said, right now?
Yes, I'm a senior at my university.
Awesome. So, and will you remain there to work on your master's, or will you go someplace else?
So that is the university that my aunt used to teach at, and so I really love the community there. I feel like it's like home, even though I've actually only been there a few times in person, but just the people I've spoken with, like that camaraderie is close, and so I'll do my master's there. Unfortunately, they don't have a medical school though, so I'll have to leave the nest then.
Any ideas where you think you might want to go? I mean, that can always change, but anything you've got your sights set on this particular school?
Oh, yes. Fingers crossed, and if God allows, either Kaiser or UCLA. I feel like those two communities, as well as their mission statement, I just fell in love with it. And so I'm just really hoping if that's what God has in plan, maybe you'll see me there in a few years.
That would be very cool. One of our other hosts, Larissa, is a Bruin, so she would have loved to have been here with you to talk to you about that. Let's talk about fashion. I'm fascinated by that because our mutual friend Jedediah mentioned that to me when he was saying, oh, you need to have Emily on Utalk, and he's a great guy, and I'm really glad that he helped us. But how does fashion come into this?
So fashion was just kind of more of a hobby that I kind of kept in the back seat for a while, whenever time. I just kind of would look at, fashion catalogs and whatnot. If I liked a certain design, I would kind of fantasize about different fabric cuts and textiles and whatnot. And, as I got into pageanting, sometimes you have to design your own dresses. You don't off the rack dress all the time. And so I used to be really big in sewing. And so I tried to make my own version of a couture dress. It did not go all the way from A to B. So I still have the designs of it, but I haven't made it yet. But, after some time, I thought, this is fun, but, is there something I can do to help other people with fashion? And the answer is, so if you go onto my nonprofit, Stem from Care, and you go into the link in my bio, you'll see a bunch of different hoodies, t-shirts, totes, and et cetera, designed by yours truly. And they all have like a different message. Like some of them are about, loving others as your neighbors. Some of them are, confidence and empowering yourself. And so I just really like making designs that, uplift people, but also design cool and fun to wear. So a lot of people have like light colors.
Again, give us the website. It's STEM for Care.
It's like on Teespring. So if you do I think it's easiest if you just go on the link because it's actually really, really long.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just a teesprings.com, like STEM from Care. So
okay.
Link in my bio.
And your Instagram handle is STEM from Care, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, we want to come back to that to make sure people can. I mean, that's interesting that you've got hoodies and T-shirts and totes. And is there one item that, or a couple items that seem to be more popular than others in your collection?
Yeah, definitely. So there's this one pink hoodie that I have that is called Pretty Yoja, and Yoja in Korean means girl, and basically it's like Pretty Yoja in different fonts, as well as like a bold colored, woman figure on there. And I just really like that personally because the message behind that was, every Yoja or every girl is a pretty girl. It doesn't matter body type you have, what you look like. Especially, me, I feel like as an Asian American, I didn't really grow up seeing a lot of people who were Asian American in Hollywood. But, I just wanted to uplift others maybe who kind of felt isolated like me, and just to give them, a piece of clothing that they can really feel good in, regardless of what they look like.
That's cool. That is, and again, another thing you have in common with Katie, and I can see this conversation down the road with the two of you, she is really big about that with not fashion design, but just this platform in a sense of wanting to get with younger girls.
Yes.
Teens and tweens, and encourage them and let them know that they are beautiful, that they are talented. Such an important thing. We live in such a mean culture today. It's setting the racism aside for a moment because it's significant. There's issues there, but we're just mean. I mean, people are just mean to each other, and I don't understand that. I always go back to the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. And it's not, I say this all the time, it's not rocket science. It's simple. I should treat you the way that I want to be treated. And I think in a simplistic way, it would solve a lot of issues if we just made a decision to do that, and it's not hard. It's a very simple thing to do. So the funds that you get from your design, the design part of you, where do those go? Any particular place, or do you put them out where you see the most need? Or because this is a great idea. It really is, and I props to you for doing it. And we'll have to keep in touch with you so we know what other things you're doing and let people know about it, because I think this is huge. It really is.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, it's more of the latter where, kind of where I feel like my community needs the most love or financial support. That's where I kind of will, put my resources towards. Like recently, I mentioned this previously, but I helped the community raise $150 for kids with cancer. And then someone I know is actually a middle school teacher at Sepulveda Middle School, and that school has they're a little less fortunate per se, and so what I ended up using 50% of the funds for that was just for buying textbooks, notebooks, calculators, whatever they needed for that class to actually succeed. And I just wanted to help in a practical and immediate way because I think obviously it's important to help in the long term by raising awareness, but also people need immediate relief. And so I was able to provide that, and so I just stepped in and was able to do that. But
that's awesome.
More or less what I do.
And I like that, the immediate need, the practical need. Sometimes that's I think, a better place to start, because then once you make that connection, you kind of engage somebody. We're really big about that, connecting and engaging, so we can influence and we can encourage. And when you're able to do that, it doesn't take much. It really doesn't, to make a difference with those who are less fortunate, those who feel like they're being beat up, those who are, bullying is out of control. It's just, we started a campaign well before COVID, and it's kind of gotten a little sidetracked, but we need to get back to it. And that is #goodbye and the number 2 and the word mean. goodbye to mean. Let's stop being mean to each other. It bothers me. And frankly, sometimes I use my size. If I see somebody being mean to somebody else, I'll step in. I'm not gigantic, but I'm not a little guy either. And it bothers me. And I have a chance to speak on school campuses. I did until COVID a lot. And actually, I'm starting to do it again now via Zoom, but it bothers my heart when I see teens and young adults who are just being, let alone adults and elderly people. But that is so cool that you're doing that now. And, at senior in college, and you've already got this heart. How long have you had the design going?
I think about right before COVID started. So over a year now. That's
awesome. So here's a lot of good things that have come out of COVID for you.
Yep.
And really others are benefiting from it instead of, because I hear people saying, COVID, and it is dragging on. I hear that things are going to be opening, but then you don't know for sure, and then they say, well, the cases are rising, blah, 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 blah. But I love what you've done, because what you've done is said, okay, like with your pageantry, I can't go out and do the events I normally would do or that usually people do. So here's what I'm going to do instead. That is so cool. We need to stop letting things like this get in our way. We have to be careful. We have to be prudent, all of those things. But we don't have to let something like this set us back. And again, props to you. I'm just really, I'm really encouraged by what you're doing. It's encouraging to me. And I hope our audience is grabbing a hold of this and saying, well, okay, Emily did this, but maybe I could do this. And, now let's go back to your design work and your clothing and all. Is there a particular place where your inspiration comes from? It sounds like the bottom line is encouraging and lifting up and building up people through this. But is there a source where the encouragement comes from, or?
I think it's kind of a mixture of just whatever I come across with in my day-to-day, my cultural background, which is half Korean, half Japanese, and who I am as a Christian. I feel like, I really do want to leave a positive mark on people's lives, if it's the clothing or the way that I speak, just in any way that I can. And so, obviously I don't want to put, demeaning things or anything on my clothing, only uplifting positive things.
Sure.
And so I feel like the Bible is my inspiration for that. And,
excellent.
Thank you for pretty yoja and whatnot. That yoja is a Korean word. And so that's where my Korean American heritage kind of comes in. And I just like, in general, like in terms of my aesthetic, like palette, I love like pinks and blues, like pastels, and like neutrals. So you'll see a lot of that in my clothing line.
Oh, that's great. We're going to have to check that out. And again, tell us how people that are with us today, how can they find out more and support what you're doing and grab a hoodie or whatever it happens to be?
Great, thank you. So one way that you can do that is you can check the Instagram page that I have for STEM from Care. That's STEM, like STEM, from Care. And in the bio, there will be a link to my digital shop. You can shop to your heart's content. It's
I love it.
And you can take a look at the selection that I have right there for all of the designs I've already made. For myself personally, whether it's me doing makeup, pageants, or my pre-med to medical school route, you can find that all on my Instagram, which is ms.emilykuma, which is the Instagram that I'm using right now. So
okay, great. Now, Emily, I've picked this up from the beginning of our conversation, and we could continue to talk for hours. Really on all that you're doing, and I want to encourage others that are with us, today to really pay attention. The rest of you that are with us, you can do things like Emily, maybe not exactly the same thing, but it seems to be very important to you that you help others. Am I reading you correctly?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Is that something that's been a part of you? I'm guessing that's nothing new. I'm guessing that comes really from as you were younger and you were growing, and the relatives and people in your life that were influencing you. Have I picked the right trail to follow with you?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I originally started to learn to care for other people, like my family, especially being from an Asian American heritage. We're all about family, loving each other, being there for each
Mm-hmm.
other. And, when I grew up and accepted Christ, Jesus Christ is my savior, that's when I really started to think about how important it is to care for others, to love others. Because, if I think about it, Jesus was just this perfect being, and
Mm-hmm.
he came here and he loved me for everything that I am, and just that has changed my life. That has given me so much hope. And bad things happen in life. People pass away. Sometimes you don't
Mm-hmm.
a job that you need, et cetera, et cetera. But
Sure.
I think having that foundation, that love that I know that God has for me, has really saved me. And I just want to spread that. And I want to love others while I can, because I know Christ has loved me, and I want to give back to other people.
Awesome. That so well said. So well said. And I'm glad that you're following your heart, because it comes from your heart, and people need that message today. They really do, in a world that's gone crazy, that's lost its way. It just encourages me. I mean, at Utalk, we are really big on our target is teens and young adults, and coming alongside them and encouraging in a variety of ways, including going mad. Now, if Larissa and Katie were on right now, they'd say, yeah, you are mad, Steve, but not crazy mad, and not angry mad, but making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be a source where somebody in our audience can say, I can do that. I could make a difference that way. What is one thing that we could all do? I mean, there's a multiplicity of things, with all the issues we're dealing with in our culture today, violence and racism and on and on and on and on. I mean, there's just it can almost be overwhelming. But if we cut to the chase, if we get down to the very core, what's one thing from your perspective that each of us could do to be the change?
I would say starting by self-reflection. And I know that sounds like a very common, but it's so important, because, life is so short. If you're going to think about doing something that makes a difference, you want to discover, what is it that you really enjoy doing? What is it that you're good at? For me, maybe it's modeling and fashion and teaching other people, like science, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for others, it may be cooking, or it may be doing dance. If you're doing dance, maybe you can kind of hold dance classes for your community, or cooking, maybe feeding the homeless with meals. And so I feel like if you just find something that you really enjoy doing, when you're helping other people, it won't feel like I have to do a charity thing. I'm doing it for the good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're doing it because, you have joy coming out of your inner heart, from that. And I think that's a great place to start. Just, knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's so foundational. And by the way, you mentioned homeless. We might try to recruit you, if we can get back to doing it. Up until this last year, we've done a special outreach for homeless teenagers in Hollywood.
Wow.
And it just, I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking you would be so perfect. And well, I mean, what's so fun is we're all there to serve, and I invite, we invite some of our special friends, people like you and, other people doing some really cool things. And it's just so fun to see these young adults that are living on the streets in Hollywood. They can come and get a haircut, they can get their nails done, they can get snack food, whatever. And since we do it at Christmas time, we show some Christmas movies, and then we bring everybody in to have a holiday meal. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's like something you might have at my house or your house or whatever. And what's so fun is to see these, I'm going to use the word celebrities, come in and want to serve. And here they are serving this meal. And we have some friends. She is the DC Comics Wonder Woman, and she's not in the movie, but she does all the public appearances. And I mean, just an amazing woman. And her husband is Batman. He's a high level cosplayer, designs costumes and stuff. And we'd asked them to come, would you guys come and we'll interview you, have a conversation with you, because we do a program then after the meal. And oh, sure, we will. But calls back and said, hey, can we come early? Can we come to the meal? Sure, you come do whatever you want to do. And, they stood there for 45 minutes taking pictures with our special guests of the day. And that so encouraged me. It touched my heart. And I thought, these are the kind of people I want to be with, and like you. And, we have this program, and then it's real cool because at the very end, when we say goodbye to them, they all get a new backpack and they get hygiene items and a new pair of shoes and a jacket. And, but to see all of these athletes and Batman and Wonder Woman, they're standing there handing out this stuff as our special guests leave. So you're going to be on my list.
Yes, please.
Oh, that would be so cool to have you there. Emily, we're going to have to say goodbye, unfortunately. We're out of time. And one more time, tell people how they can stay in touch with you. They can learn more about what you're doing, follow you, and maybe be involved in some way.
Thank you. Well, so just a reminder, my nonprofit organization is called STEM from Care. That's STEM. Yes, like the typical STEM you hear in all the schools and whatnot. If you go onto that Instagram page, in my bio, there will be a link. You can support by shopping. Yes, I know that sounds very fun. You should check it out. It's for a good cause.
I love it.
And you can go check that out at your leisure. But if you're curious about me as an individual, me doing things in terms of preparation for medical school, doing beauty pageants, doing makeup, and all the doing stuff, you can check out my Instagram at miss.emilykuma, which is the Instagram I'm using to join here. It's ms.emilykuma.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I mean, what a pleasure, what a privilege to be able to have this convo with you. Enjoyed it immensely. And we look forward to having you back on again. Please keep us informed what you're doing and any way we can help you and any way our audience can help you. And thank you for making a huge difference and being a very bright light. Love your smile.
Thank you.
Our world needs more smiles like that. So we'll look forward to being in touch with you, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks.
You. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Utalk Radio.